Hello and welcome to Geektopia with me, Adam Carruthers, a space on the internet where I can talk all things geeky, and something has just released which is right up my alley. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh yes, it is finally out. I've literally just watched it. I've come upstairs, I've sat down in this chair, I've not written any notes, just gonna try and speak from the heart. So are you ready to take this deep dive with me for my hot take, or shall I call it Adam's take? Let's go.
The time is now.
First and foremost, the elephant in the room. Is this better than what we saw in 2017 or the theatrical release of Justice League? 1,000 times better, infinitely better. Zack Snyder's Justice League and what we saw in 2017 are night and day. But why am I thinking this? Let's backtrack a little bit, even earlier than 2017 to 2013 when Man of Steel came out, officially launching the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe. There was an unbelievable amount of hype behind it. It was executively produced by Christopher Nolan. The guy had just wrapped up his Dark Knight trilogy and made everything a little bit more grounded than it ever used to be. Zack Snyder was on board as a director. I'd seen his work, Watchmen, 300. Nobody, and I've said this multiple times, can take a comic book panel or splash page or cover and put it onto the big screen. What he makes is art, comic book art come to life. Now for Man of Steel, it did pretty well in the box office. Some fans were not big on it. I personally thought it was pretty cool. I mean, the things that you saw Superman do in that movie, you've never seen him do before. And I know it was a controversial ending because he snaps Zod's neck at the end and Zod dies and all of that, but I like different versions of Superman being available. I like having a multiverse concept. There's the comics, there's the Christopher Reeve movies, which are so good as well in their own right. There's the Dean Cain Superman. There's Tyler Hoechlin right now in Superman and Lois. There are different versions. Not every Superman has to be the same. Now, for me, Man of Steel is part of a trilogy. The third movie is Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I think to really appreciate Zack Snyder's Justice League, you have to first watch Man of Steel or rewatch it just to have a recap of everything that happened in that. Because the second part of the trilogy was Batman v Superman. To this day, I cannot believe that in my lifetime and growing up, there really weren't many comic book movies. I had to rely on comics, of course. I had to rely on cartoons. I had to rely on my imagination and video games. But then we had it on the big screen, Batman v Superman, and I personally loved the movie. Yeah, there was a lot of things that people didn't like. I think the most glaring thing would have to be the whole Martha scene.
Save Martha!
Yep, I'm sure you remember that Martha scene as well as I do, but I'm gonna have to defend Batman v Superman. In the same way Justice League was butchered by the studio from what Zack Snyder intended for everybody to see on the big screen, or in our cases now at home, they kind of did the same thing to Batman v Superman as well. So if you want to watch it again, you have to look for the Ultimate Edition. That's like the director's cut. It's about an hour longer from what you saw in the cinema, and it's how Zack Snyder originally intended the film to be. So that kind of wraps up the trilogy. Start with Man of Steel, then go to Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition specifically, and then wrap it all up with Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I'm going to ask this again. Why, oh why, Warner Brothers, did you release that shit show, for lack of a better word, in 2017 and call it Justice League? Because it really, really wasn't.
Dostoevsky.
I have a few theories about this. The studio got a little bit scared. Why? Because Batman v Superman, I think, came out in 2016. Now, when it was released, it wasn't being that well received by fans and critics alike. It didn't make as much money as they hoped for, I'm guessing, as well. It made less than $1 billion, which is kind of like the benchmark nowadays for a huge tentpole film like Batman v Superman was. Two huge characters. However, when they got scared, they thought, all right, we have to react to this. We have to do something about Justice League. We can't make it so dark.
Oh, dark? You sure you're not from the DC universe?
So then they got Josh Whedon in, and he's the guy that directed Avengers. So they thought, this guy's perfect. And I can't blame Josh Whedon entirely, because I think he is following the instructions from the studio. Cut down the runtime, add the jokes.
I hear you can talk to fish.
And go and reshoot as much as you want, apparently. It just came out as one big mess of a movie which nobody, and I mean nobody, remembers fondly. So that's it. No more mentioning the 2017 Justice League, because it really does not merit any more attention than what I've already given it. Let's talk a little bit about Zack Snyder's Justice League. It is 4 hours long. I know a lot of people have complained about the length, but how many shows have you binge watched on Netflix? Stranger Things. How many episodes? 7, 8 a season, whatever it is. Each roughly an hour long. I binge watched that over like a day. That's double the length of a Justice League. I'm not seeing anybody complaining about that. Mentally, just try to treat it like a mini-series, which is how it was originally going to be launched on HBO Max as, a mini-series. But they decided to give us one big movie. In fact, the movie itself is split into chapters and an epilogue at the end. So you could pace yourself out. When you hit chapter 3, think, all right, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to have my lunch, and then I'll come back and watch the rest of the movie. As simple as that. To be honest, by the end, I wish there was more. 4 hours didn't seem like long enough. Zack Snyder has built up all of the characters in this movie. So Wonder Woman already has her own films now too, so didn't need to build that up quite as much because we kind of already know a lot about her. Aquaman already has his movie as well, and Superman already had Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. So it managed to expand all the other characters, namely Cyborg and Flash. Some of the supporting cast members as well. Joe Morton, he played Silas Stone. I love this guy. You might have seen him in this.
It's all your fault! Motherfucker, it's all your fault!
Yeah, Joe Morton was Dr. Miles Bennett Dyson in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, one of the best action films of all time. The guy's been around for ages. I remember seeing him in a TV show called Eureka as well, which I absolutely adored. Finished a couple of years back. What about all the other actors in the movie? Well, we've of course seen Henry Cavill in the role before. He's only in the final third of the movie. There's a couple of cameos earlier on as well, but he was great as always. I really do feel the guy is born to play Superman. He is just Superman for me now. I thought it'd be very hard to take that mantle away from Christopher Reeve, who will always, of course, be Superman as well, but Henry Cavill comes a pretty close second at this point in time, better than anybody else bar Christopher Reeve. We saw Ben Affleck return as Batman, and unlike the 2017 Ben Affleck Justice League, which was reshot heavily, he's back to being slim and trim, and his face isn't as puffy. He really looks the part. I now probably think for live action movies, Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman. Yeah, I said it. Better than Michael Keaton, better than Christian Bale, better than Val Kilmer, better than George Clooney, although that's not particularly hard. And Adam West was just a very, very different Batman. Gal Gadot was back to form as Wonder Woman. I say back to form, but technically this movie was shot before Wonder Woman 1984. Some of the other characters, The Flash, Ezra Miller, took a bit of getting used to, I'll be honest, but like I mentioned earlier, I do like different interpretations of my favorite heroes. This is a very different Barry Allen to what I've become accustomed to in the comics, and even Grant Gustin's Barry Allen. Those two really are very, very different interpretations of what is effectively the same character. But again, the multiverse concept. And we already saw Grant Gustin appear with Ezra Miller in the TV show, so that just builds on something which has a lot of potential. Cyborg, Ray Fisher did such a good job. I mean, I personally think it would be pretty hard to act if you're only showing like this much of your face. That's all you have to do to get your emotion across. And I thought his role in this, and Ezra Miller as well, I should add, was so much better in every way possible. The development of the character, understanding what they stand for, understanding why they do what it is they do, and why they are heroes. So credit to Zack Snyder for that really fantastic job. So what is next for Zack Snyder? What is next for his vision for the DC Extended Universe? This is where it can get a little bit complicated, so bear with me here. Big spoiler alert. Firstly, I want to say credit is given where it's due, it has to be all the fanboys out there who have been campaigning for the Justice League Snyder Cut to be released. You've done it, and the film is brilliant, and I'm sure you want more, and you deserve it, in my opinion. What has Zack Snyder said about this? Initially, he said, no, this is it. I'm not expected to be given the green light to do any more Justice League movies or anything DC related. Okay, but look at how this movie has been received since then, since it came out. Rotten Tomatoes, looking at it right now, 75% fresh rating from the critics, 97% from the audience, 97. I went onto IMDb and I looked up some modern superhero movies, and I took note of their rankings, their ratings. So Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, 8.4. Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, 8.4. Zack Snyder's Justice League, 8.9. 8.9. It is bested by only one modern superhero movie, and that is The Dark Knight, which got 9.0. The one with Heath Ledger. Now, it's early days, and I'm sure the score will drop a little bit as time goes by. That's usually the case, and I'm sure a lot of the people that campaigned for the movie have been the ones voting for it heavily, but I personally feel it's really highly deserved. This is a comic book movie at its best. Now, because of the public perception, because of how it's been received, I'm praying Zack Snyder is given permission to develop it further, because he's spoken already about what he plans to do. The nightmare sequence we saw right at the end. There were multiple endings to Zack Snyder's Justice League. The nightmare sequence is one. The Martian Manhunter appearing again. You might recognize him because he appeared early in the movie, played by Harry Lennox, who was the General Swanwick in Man of Steel. So he's a Martian Manhunter all along, and nobody knew that. He was pretty cool in the role. He was awesome. You might also have seen the character in Supergirl as well, played by David Harewood. He says Darkseid is coming, so that already sets up a sequel. Another ending to the movie was Deathstroke appearing and being told Batman's identity. That was supposed to spin off into Ben Affleck's solo Batman movie. That one I don't think we're gonna get. I hope we do, but I think it's less likely than another Justice League movie. Now, the nightmare sequence is where it got so interesting. It was only shot last year. It was only approved to be shot after the green light was given to release the Snyder Cut. Ben Affleck and Jared Leto were never on set together because of scheduling conflicts. They had to be shot separately. Even Ezra Miller, his part, he was recording Fantastic Beasts, so they used their crew and they got Zack Snyder in on Zoom and he directed Ezra Miller. Jared Leto, by the way, fantastic in that scene. That's how the Joker should be. Not like the Joker that he gave us in the Suicide Squad. But everything that's mentioned in there ties into what Zack Snyder has said he originally planned for his Justice League trilogy. He wanted to make 2 more Justice League movies. We saw in Batman v Superman, Barry Allen traveling through time and speaking to Bruce Wayne. So that comes into play as well. The initial plan is Lois Lane dies. And she dies while Batman is there. Superman has tasked Batman with protecting Lois and he fails to do so. He hesitates, apparently in an argument with Lois, and she dies. That causes Superman to go into despair. It allows the anti-life equation, which was heavily mentioned throughout the course of the film, to come into play and take control of Superman, and he becomes a minion of Darkseid. So when Barry Allen goes back in time, it's a chance for a do-over, and that is what happens. Batman is killed. He sacrifices himself in order to save Lois. And what happens then? Superman does not go into despair and the good guys win. That is not even the end of the story just yet. It gets better. At some point in the 3rd Justice League movie, it's revealed that Superman, Clark Kent, and Lois have a kid. And if you rewatch Justice League, you notice when Lois is going through her drawer, there's a pregnancy test. When I saw it, I actually paused it and said, yeah, that says pregnancy test, for real. So they have a kid, but the kid doesn't have powers. And his name is Bruce Kent, and he goes on to become the next Batman. So it all kind of shapes up nicely. Bruce Wayne gives the ultimate sacrifice. We get the next Batman. We have his story told as well as being the son of Superman and Lois Lane. I think that sounds brilliant. I mean, it borrows from different elements out there. It borrows, I guess you could say, a little bit of Flashpoint in a way. And we're getting the Flashpoint movie of The Flash, of course. It borrows heavily from the Injustice video game series of Superman going bad. I'm not going to get too much into it. Play the video games or read the comic books because they are superb. But it's got me so excited. So please, I'm begging you, Warner Brothers, let this come to life. let Zack Snyder finish what he started. Let him finish what he started way back in 2013 with Man of Steel. And that's it. That about wraps up my take on Zack Snyder's Justice League. I hope there weren't too many spoilers there if you haven't seen it, but really it is worth your time, all 4 hours of it. And again, I'm hoping that Warner Brothers are swayed by the reception that the film has gotten to move ahead and develop some more. And why don't you leave a comment for me? Let me see what you're thinking. Let me read it. Make sure you also share this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. My name is Adam Carruthers, signing out from Geektopia. Till next time.